Hi everyone, this is Clara coming back to you from North Carolina. Hope you're doing well today and hope you've had a good week, as I often say. The weeks certainly pass in a hurry, don't they? Well, today we're going to look at some cards that would be appropriate for fall. But before we get started, I do want to remind you that the Creativity is Calling catalog is going to be available to be ordered from on September the 4th. So that's just a few days away now. And if you don't have a catalog, please let me know. This is what it looks like, front and back. And next week we'll be able to get into it even further. But this is, like I said before, it's got lots of good ideas in it. And if you would like one, please contact me on my website at CardStampinWithClara. Go to my blog, and down at the bottom there'll be a place that you can contact me and ask me for a catalog. Send me your address so I can be sure and get it to you. Also, for those of you that don't know, I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I have a host code here that we change once a month, and this one is still good for the rest of August. If you purchase under $150, please use that code. That helps me. And if you should spend $150 and maybe you're getting started or something like that, by all means don't use it, because you'll start to get some credits for that much purchase, and you can get some free merchandise. Like for $150, they'll give you $15 worth of free merchandise of your choice. So you might bear that in mind. Okay, the business out of hand. Oh, one other thing. If you would, please, push that subscribe button. That also helps me, because sometimes I'm a day off with when I intend to get my videos out for one reason or another. I strive to be consistent. But if you push that subscribe button, then you'll be notified as soon as it goes up, and you can take advantage of what I have worked on for the week. So, okay, enough said. Like I said, this week we're going to do fall instead of Christmas, because Christmas is good to get started on, because most of us have a lot of cards to make for Christmas, and you want to get started early on that. Maybe you don't have quite as many that you send out around Thanksgiving, or say even Halloween, or maybe you just want a fall looking card to tell someone that you'd like for them to feel better, or what have you. So that's what we're working on, and this is the card we're going to be making for today. It's got this cute little kitty cat. If you are a fan of kitties, I think you'll like this one. And it's also got pumpkins that of course look like fall, with some leaves flying through the air. And we'll go into the particulars of the card in a few minutes. And this one is just, like I said, kind of a note card you might just want to send to somebody, and it looks like fall. So this is the first one. And from this set, there's actually two sets involved in this particular card set of 8. I use the Harvest Hellos, which is where the apples and the pumpkins come from. Actually, you can use this for an apple or a pumpkin, and just depending on the colors and what have you. And this one is like for a pumpkin that has not been made into a jack-o'-lantern. So you've got a jack-o'-lantern's face, you've got an apple, a slice of apple, you've got some apple seeds, you've got the leaves, the vine. Then the sentiments you have are welcome back, you make me smile, give thanks, hey there pumpkin, to an A+ teacher, feel better soon. So those are the sentiments, and it's a nice clean set. And I really like these. The others, the photopolymer, are good, but I'm a little bit partial to these. So, but I use both. Don't get me wrong here. I just, that's just personal preference for me. The other one is a photopolymer, and it's the one that it's called 9 Lives. And this is the one that the little kitty comes out of. So there's all kinds of cute little things with this when you get, you know, a ball of yarn, a little mouse, hearts, bows, bowls, and then some nice sentiments too. And like I said, it's photopolymer, and I've got the kitty on my Stamparatus this morning so I can show you how I stamped it. I'll show you that in a few minutes. All right, those are the 2 stamp sets. The other thing that I used with the particular card that we're making today is this Tuft 3D dynamic embossing folder. And we'll talk a little bit about that later. And 2 punches. This is called the Apple Builder's Punch. You can punch out the apple or the pumpkin, the leaf and the stem. And then with the kitty, you just punch out the kitty. It's just called the cat punch. That's all there is to it. So, all right, folks, let's get at it here with taking a look at these other cards that I made out of these items, and you can see some of the possibilities. This one is obviously the apple, and I put the To an A+ Teacher on this one. I used some little red rhinestones to jazz it up a little bit. I used a subtle folder, embossing folder for that part of it. And this is some of the Christmas DSP, and that comes from that toil set. And then we've got real red for the color and what have you. And I stamped some seeds across the bottom. So, also we've got the little bow that's baker's twine out of Very Vanilla. So that's one card. This card I made simply because I had a sheet of this sparkly lace from where I made the green set, I'll call it. It was the Rustic Retreat set. And I laid that piece up against this pumpkin pie orange color. It's called pumpkin pie. And I thought it looked so nice. I just put it right on top of it. It just gives it a nice sparkle. It's another use of that a touch of lace dye. And I cut out some pumpkins, or a pumpkin, made a jack-o'-lantern and said, "Hey there, pumpkin." And then I put "You Make Me Smile" on the inside with some leaves. You know, this kind of touched a memory, caused a memory to come back for me. Before our oldest son was born, I didn't know what to call him. And I called him Pumpkin. He was my little pumpkin. And I did that for a long time after he was born. I don't think he'd appreciate it today, but it brought back a memory of that. Okay, this one I used with some of the new colors for 2019 to 21. Yeah, that's it. I've drawn a blank here. I'm going to reach up here and look at this ink. It's called Terracotta Tile. That's the color that we're using here is Terracotta Tile. I used some garden green, put that in behind the pumpkin. I actually put a little sparkle on the pumpkin and used a couple of the enamel glitter dots from the Christmas set that's will be available on September the 4th. And I used some silver thread. And I just thought that added a really nice touch and kind of brought the 2 colors together. And then I tried to decorate up the inside a little bit. So that was something I worked on a bit. My daughter informed me that I needed to have something that looked a little bit like Halloween, or nighttime is what she said, I believe. And so I thought, okay, the Great Pumpkin Patch. That was the thought that came to mind. So I did a Great Pumpkin Patch. It reminded me a little bit of Charlie Brown from years ago. But it's very simple. It's just got pumpkins out in a field with leaves and vines and a sparkling moon and stars. So I hope you like that. I put a few leaves on the inside for a little accent there. This one, I had another, I used another of the embossing folders, and I decided that once I got this pumpkin pie embossed and what have you, it was pretty bold. So I decided to use the very vanilla color and kind of tone it down just a little bit and still use some of the accents from the pumpkin pie color, which I do like, don't get me wrong. But it just, you know, sometimes things can be overwhelming if you get too much of it. And I decided this time the little kitty is going to be black. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to show you how much difference the color makes in how this kitty looks. You wouldn't think it would make a lot of difference, but I'm going to show you this one compared to the one we're going to do today. This one is done with the Memento Tuxedo Black as an outline and so saffron. And this one is just done in black. And honestly, this cat doesn't look near as sweet as the other one does just because of the color. So, and then I'm going to show you another one yet after that. But I did put Hey There Pumpkin on this one. And I put a little heart on this one. I decided to put it in orange since this was a fall color. All right. And this was the other card that was done in honor of my daughter who likes such things. And we don't have a die or anything for this tree. I frankly just cut it out. And you know, it's not hard to cut out. You just make a little curve and a couple of these and you've got yourself a tree for the side of your card. A jack-o'-lantern and the kitty staring at the moon on a moonlit night. So, and on the inside, I thought, why not put a little kitty in a bow? So you can't really see the facial features on this. And I didn't really try since it was a black kitty. But I did decide to put a little orange bow on it. So I hope you like that. And the last one. This one was done, obviously, as a bowl of apples. And the way that I got this to look like a bowl is I had a die that's actually out of, well, it's been retired. That's the way they say it. It's been retired now. But it was one... this is just half of the die is what it is. Half of the die cut out, not the die. And you could use another kind of die to do this same thing and make your bowl look a little bit different. Whatever you've got that you can use. But that's what I did is I took what I had and I cut it in half once I got the die cut out. And then I ran it through the basket. I ran it through the, I'm going to get my words tangled up here this morning. I ran it through my machine. I put it inside an embossing folder. And it's called the Basket Weave Embossing Folder. And then that's what gave it the texture is what I'm trying to say. But, you know, you can get creative with what you've got. If you don't have something that's exactly what you want, think about ways that you can take what you have and maybe use it in a unusual sort of way, which is what I did with this one. This one was never intended to be a bowl, but hey, I got a bowl out of it. And I put 3 little leaves on the inside of this one. All right, what I want to do first, as we start this, just so I can lay this aside and get it out of the way, is I'm going to show you how I got the kitty, and you'll see how much difference there is in the colors as to the way the kitty looks. All right, this is just a cutout. It's not another black kitty. I just used a scrap of paper is what that's all about. This is the Stamparatus, and probably most of you already know that, but there's a few that may not. So I wanted to show the people that might be new how I got the kitty, because it's a 2-step process. First thing I did, and I've already done this part of it, is I took the Memento Tuxedo Black ink pad, inked up this kitty, as you can see, and came down, and right there's the outline. That's the black outline. So if you wanted to make lots of kitties like this, that's why you can use 2 of these plates, and that's what makes the Stamparatus really nice. So what I'm going to do now, I've already lined up the kitty. I'm going to take this one off for the second because I don't have a lot of room right here. And turn it a little bit. But you can, on a large surface, you can just, you know, make kitty after kitty if you want to and never have to position it. So all you do is you take this little photopolymer stamp and make sure that you line it up exactly over the first stamping. Then you just ink it up, and voila, look at there. This is the So Saffron ink that I used, the ink pad. So that makes such a cute little kitty, and that is all there is to it. The nice thing is, like I said, all you have to do is remove this, put you on another piece of cardstock, and if you need to lay this off, you can, but you don't have to. There you go again and again, again and again, just as many times as you need kitties or whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a kitty, but there are flowers and things that, and actually there's another design that will fit into this little cat, and to give it a different look yet. So I'm going to wipe this up a little bit, enough to get by, and then we'll start putting this guy together. I've got several things already cut out and done for us that are quite simple to do. So, but that's all there is to stamping. You just line everything up if you've not done it before, and put your ink on and stamp away. All right. Get my little bag. Oh, here's the thing I was going to show you, and I almost forgot. I'll have to get this one out, I guess, to show you exactly what I'm talking about. All right. Before I lay all those pieces out, this is the kitty that is stamped in Memento Black and So Saffron. This is another one that I did that was stamped in Soft Suede and So Saffron. And this kitty just looks so much brighter and alert than, say, this kitty. And all in the world difference is the outline color. So, you know, the colors you use can make an amazing difference. So, enough said about that, but I just wanted to make that point. Okay, here we go. As always, I have a piece of cardstock. This is very vanilla. You know, last time I need to apologize to you folks. I think I said very vanilla when it was Whisper White. And I put the Whisper White on my list and made a note of it on my website. But sometimes my dyslexic brain does tricks on me, and I say things that I reverse or some such if I get one color. But anyway, I'm just trying to say I apologize, and this is very vanilla. This cardstock base is cut at 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. Okay. We have 2 pieces. This is called Pretty Peacock, and this is the new colors for 2019 through 2021, and I really like this color, and so we're going to use that with this today. One will be for the outside, one will be for the inside. I also have 2 pieces of very vanilla. This one that I stamped 3 leaves for is going to be to go on the inside of the card, which we'll glue down in a minute. And this is the one, I started with it a little bit bigger, and it's the one that I run through my die cutting machine with this, it's called Tuft 3D embossing folder. So what I suggest is before you cut this down to size, take like a quarter of a sheet of the Very Vanilla and lay it down and spritz it either with water or alcohol. We've got these little spritzing bottles, and you can get like 3 of these pretty cheap. They come in a pack, I believe, of 3. But just spritz it lightly. The reason you do that before you run it through your die cutting machine is it gives your paper enough give that it doesn't tear. But you do have to either wait or dry it a little bit with, say, an embossing tool, a heat tool. This is dry embossing, and I know that sounds contradictory, but when I say this is dry, or just in a folder versus melting embossing powder onto your card. So once you spritz it, slide it in there, run it through your machine, and let it dry or dry it, and then you can cut it to size, which will be 3 3/4 by 5. Okay, that's a mouthful. So that will go on the Pretty Peacock piece. All right. I also have a piece of the Brightly Gleaming DSP. This one is cut at 1 3/4 inches by 3 3/4 inches. And this is the side that we're going to use. These pretty stripes. It's got Mossy Meadow and I think probably Night of Navy. And it's also sort of a vanilla cream color stripe in there that looks better on Very Vanilla than, say, Whisper White. But I wanted you to see, I did make me a note because sometimes, like I said, I forget. This is one of the pretty sheets that would be great for Christmas from that set that's going to be available next week. So that's one side of it. I hope you can see that. But this is going to go on the front. Then I'm going to use this piece, which is just a 1/4 inch that I cut off the edge of one of those other pieces. And when I get it glued on, I'll cut it off, but it'll be 3 3/4 inches across. All right. Moving right along here. These pumpkins I stamped in Tuxedo Black, the Memento Tuxedo Black first. On one, you can see the lines. Now, you've got to use that separate little piece for the vine, and it is done in Garden Green. So I stamped 3 of those, and then the pumpkin that's going to look like a jack-o'-lantern with the face on it, I also stamped it in the Tuxedo Black. And as you can see, there's some little areas that it doesn't cover, and I think that's deliberate so that it makes it look like that light's shining through it. So if you don't want that, you can take a marker and fill it in, but it was designed to do that. That's not a problem. Okay, let me show you about the punch. The only thing about these punches, if you can be mindful of the way that you're stamping your pumpkin on there. For instance, if I had stamped it upside down, then I wouldn't have enough to hold to get to slide it in. You can tape an extra piece on, though, if you do that. All right, just line it up like this, leaving, there's going to be a little border around it. That's just the way it's designed. All you do is take your thumb or your hand, if you need to, like me, and just squeeze. And it's not that hard to squeeze. I'm just getting old. What can I say? All right. So there's that pumpkin. And we've got 2 stems that I already cut out. And they're ready. But the same thing with the stems. Just get you a piece like this and turn it And you could just slide a little bit in. And you know, sometimes you think, well, you know, I'm not sure I need to go over that, but you know, for me, I wish I had seen somebody do some of these little things. It just makes it easier. If you know how to do it, it's no problem. If you don't know how to do it, it can be a big problem. So I'm not going to cut out the kitty that we stamped because we don't need it, but we'll have one for another project. Now, these little leaves, I stamped with the little stamp that comes in the set, but I do want you to know you have to fussy cut them. And what I mean by fussy cut, if you don't know, is just take a pair of scissors and cut them out. I think the whole point is, you know, it takes a little time, but you'd be surprised how fast I cut those little leaves out. It wasn't hard at all. And I also cut out a couple of these. I may not use but one of them. I don't know if I'll use more than two or not. My husband was teasing me about my long fingernails, and I said, I need those so I can pick up this stuff. So anyway, there we go. Now, we're ready to put it together. Everything is laid out, and we can get started. Like I say, I like to lay one down if I'm going to make another one like it. And, you know, kind of follow along. We're going to do the easy part first and get it out of the way. I hope it's the easy part. I'll put it that way. Sometimes these things don't go exactly the way you anticipate. But as you may notice, I didn't put a lot of sentiments on these. I made them more like note cards. If you've got something that you have a particular need for, then by all means, go ahead and stamp whatever you would like on them. There's one thing about stamping is, you know, it's sort of an expression, a tiny little expression of art. And what is artistic to you may not be artistic to somebody else. But if you like it, then that's part of your personality. By all means, fix it the way you want it. Okay, we'll line this up a little bit. I'm using the multi-purpose Tombow glue. That's what I use mostly these days. And it is really nice about being able to slide it just a tiny little bit. It's just easier than putting strips on the back. It can get to be a little bit messy. Once, you know, if you're mindful of what you're doing, it doesn't have to be. But it is easier about getting things lined up if you have any issues with that. And I promise you, if you're starting this, you will get better at it. You should have seen me when I first started trying to get these things balanced. I thought, oh, what have I done? Okay, now then, that wasn't bad at all. All right, inside done. Now we're going to start on the outside. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take this tuft piece, and I've picked up something again. I don't know what, but that's typical of me. And anytime that you have something that is embossed and bumpy on the back, you may need a little extra glue to hold it down, especially along the edges, but you don't want to put so much that you've got it running out from under the edges, if that makes sense. Okay, so we're going to put this on. Make sure that I've got this over here where you can kind of see. I might have had it out from under the camera. Sometimes I forget. But you can see it kind of wants to curl from after it was cut and dried and everything. That's why I say you might need something I did do on the other one. And if you find that you didn't get enough glue right along the edge, you can always add a little bit with a think this is going to be all right, though. I'm just going to kind of press hard and see if it won't seal on down. Okay. The next thing is to put this piece on. You can actually do this before if you prefer. It really doesn't matter which way. But if you like to leave a little bit hanging over or something and then trim it up, you would want to do it first, because you can't do it once you've put that on the back. Common sense goes a long, long way when it comes to making cards or anything, really. I mean, just think about it. You wouldn't try to put a roof on a house before you built the foundation. And that's kind of, there's a basic procedure in almost anything you do in life like that. Okay, well, I'm going to get it up here where I can see it and balance it. Make sure it's balanced. Make sure it looks good. You don't want a bunch hanging out at the bottom either. I mean, you want it to have a nice finished look. Okay. All right. Now, obviously, the next thing is going to have to be the pumpkin. Put a little glue here on the back. And I thought that putting this one at an angle worked pretty nice. Okay. And most jack-o'-lanterns have to sit more upright. So that was my reasoning on that. Okay. I'll get my trusty little tweezers here that make everything so much easier about positioning once you get to a certain point anyway. So I'm gonna lap it. I did not use dimensionals this time. I decided with everything going on that was on this card, I was not going to do that. Now you could if you chose to. There's nothing wrong with it. And something I did discover as I was making these, if you kind of cut a corner off of this little stem, and I'm going to see if you can see it. I'm going to hold it up. I've got it kind of pointed. It just fit into the pumpkin a little bit better, I thought. You can lay it to one side and it works okay. I'm trying just to get a little bit on here. That's why I'm going slow. I'm going to put this one right in like this. And as you can see, I stamped this one. On the other one, I did not stamp these. I just used a darker piece of cardstock. So, there again. What do you like? What works for you? The big thing with this is just the time, it takes a little bit of time to get everything cut out and laid up, ready to put it together. It doesn't take long to put it together once you get that done. And like I said, anytime that you want to make cards, the very first one, until you get set up and know exactly what you want to make, it takes a little more time. Now, it doesn't have to take an immense amount of time, but it does take longer than, say, once you get set up, you know what you're doing, you can just, like I was showing you with the kitty, you can move right along. All right, I'm going to set this kitty up, and I'm going to try to put it kind of in the middle, or best I can. And then we'll put the leaves on. You could put a black cat up and have it looking in the other direction, I suppose, if that was your fancy, but in this particular instance, I guess it's just a matter of how much you want to make it spooky. Put a little bit there on the ears. And I'm going to slide that right there underneath that little piece of pumpkin that is not sealed down quite as much. I'm going to move that just a tiny little bit. Just press down good on this background that's embossed. It makes it look pretty, but it does make a little bit, you have to take a little bit more care to get everything sealed down against it. All right, let's put us a leaf or two on as far as a green one goes. I don't know how much we really need these with the pumpkin vines and what have you, but I did put some on the other cards, and it looked pretty good, I thought. All right, glue, you're being stubborn here. There. All right. Maybe just kind of put it down that way. If you put it up, it kind of does look a little bit more like an apple. I thought this one might look better going down. And it never hurts to have an extra piece or two when you're doing these little pieces. I mean, like I said, I'm not going to use 3 of them. I may use these 2, but... And with this one, you might not even need it with this jack-o'-lantern. Okay, well, let's make it a windy day. Something I did do, and I'll mention this to you. When I stamp these leaves, on the back of my stamp, if this one you can see it's got some green and red or orange, and this is crushed curry paper is what it is, the color that it's stamped on. But you know, as leaves start changing color and what have you, you know, they don't all change at once, and sometimes you pick up leaves, they're partly one color, part another. So I took a watercolor marker and just rubbed it across the back of the stamp on one side, and then I used the color on the other color on the other side. You don't have to do that. You can just be careful and kind of lay your stamp on one side of an ink pad, about half of it, and then do the other half on another side. So, you know, like I said, it's just personal preference, and this one is done all in green. Some of them are half, some of them are all orange, you know, whatever you want. Just try to make it look like fall. The only thing that I wish this set had was this little, I wish it had a little die that would have fit this leaf. But it didn't, so there's ways around that. But honestly, I'm not kidding you. It really didn't take too long to cut these out. Now, you know, if you're going to make tons and tons and tons of them, I don't know if that would, whoops. Now, what happened there was it slipped, and I was afraid I had glue all over the place. And that will happen, and then if I need to touch it up in a few minutes by cleaning it up with my little, well, it's called a glue eraser, is what it is. As you see, I'm sort of laying out the leaves roughly like the others, sometimes different colors, but that's not a big deal. Wind blows one way one day and another way the next day, right? I've never made it as a left-handed person, I don't believe. We have a son that's left-handed, but Mama and Daddy surely aren't. I just never knew quite how to help him with things because he approached things differently than I did. And I mean, and that's the way God made us, so there's nothing wrong with it either way. It's just, You know, you see things from one's perspective and somebody else sees it from another. I think most people are probably getting kind of ready for fall. It has been so hot this summer. For all of us, it seems like. I hope the storm that's coming into Florida or somewhere down that area doesn't cause a lot of damage for folks. It seems like there's been a lot of those lately, or the last few years, I guess is what I'm saying. Not like last week, don't get me wrong. It's a relative term. Okay, maybe one more. Let's turn this one kind of like that. All right. Now, I don't think I'm going to put those last couple on. I think we've got enough. I'm going to get the glue off my fingers. I inevitably get some on no matter what. You remember I told you about this little glue eraser? And it gets dirty on the sides no matter what I do. It does seem like, but you trim it. I take this pair of scissors and this pair of scissors cuts really good, so I just trim it, and then when I see that I've got a little bit of glue, go to the clean spot. Don't rub dirt on it, or you know, old glue or dust or something that's picked up. You don't want to rub crazy hard, because if you do, the paper can start to riddle a little bit, but it starts to look dirty at first and you think, oh, I have ruined it. That's usually not the case. You just usually have to just work it on off, which is what I'm trying to do now. I'm having a little more trouble with this one than some. I picked up a little bit of the green. That's not good. All right. Let me show you. That has, this time, which like I said, I don't usually have any problem with it, but it's not done as well as I want it to. So what do? You're down to almost putting it on the card base. You're almost finished. So what do? You got something you don't want. I got a couple of extra leaves. So let's put us an extra leaf on there. You don't want to lose all your work. And who's to say that two leaves aren't blowing in the same direction? You see? Now nobody will ever know there was ever an issue. They just think it's a couple of leaves blowing. All right. Now then, let's put it on the card base and we're done. But that's why it's nice to have a couple of little extra things and what have you. Card making is, for me, let me put it that way. Maybe there are those that can just start from start to finish and everything just works out perfect. Well, I'm not that person. I'd like to be that person. But sometimes you just have to adjust. That's kind of the way life is, isn't it? Things don't always go the way you want them to, or exactly the way you think they're going to, and you have to adjust. All right. So I hope that you're happy with this card. I think it made a nice fall card without it actually being really Halloweenish. If you don't need, if you don't need one for Halloween. The pumpkin's a little bit that way, but not too bad. So those are that's the two cards. That's stamped on the inside and adds a little special touch. All right, folks, that does it for this weekend. And the good Lord willing, I'll be back next week with something different. Not sure yet what I'm going to do, but we'll see what comes together. And bear in mind, the new catalog comes out this week. I will put one on my website as soon as I can. Like the 3rd. And then by the 4th, it will be there. So a PDF will be there, and you can flip through it and, take your time and look and see what's available, see what you like, what you don't like, what have you. There's lots of different things, so I'm sure that there's things that would, that would interest everybody. You won't like everything, but I don't like everything. So find something that you like and have some fun making cards. I've been doing this, I guess I've been in earnestly making cards and what have you for about a year. And I dabbled a little bit way back when before I got a chance to watch some really good videos. So I hope this will help you. They certainly helped me when I was getting started. Okay, I guess that's it for this week. If you haven't pushed the subscribe button, please push the subscribe button. If you need to purchase something, remember to use the host code. And the good Lord keep you and bless you this week. And I just hope you have a wonderful week. And we'll be back to talk with you next week. Maybe someday I can go live. The problem with me going live is I don't walk and chew chewing gum at the same time. So I don't know if that's going to be something that's going to be an option for me or not. I lose my train of thought. But I will do my best to accommodate your needs. So thank you for watching. And I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.